#1 for Gospel Hits on your radio and online. Thanks for turning us on. It is a beautiful Lord's Day. We're excited because you know if it's happening anywhere in the gospel world, it's happening right here on your favorite gospel radio station. We have on the radio this morning and in the studios the one and only, the legendary, in the flesh. I would pinch her, but I don't want to, have the repercussions. It's Miss Karen Clark Sheard.
Hello.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us. We're excited because this week we actually are excited about the release, the debut, the dropping, whatever you want to call it, of the brand new CD from the Clark sisters entitled Live, One Last Time. It was recorded live in Houston, Texas, is that right?
Houston, Texas.
During the AIM convention. And now, whose idea was this to get I'm sure you guys have been talking about it for years, getting back together and stuff, but who actually was the catalyst to kind of make it happen this time?
Of course, my husband, Pastor J. Drew Sheard. It was his idea to do it at the AIM Kojic convention in Houston. And, of course, we came about and we wrote songs. Of course, Donald Lawrence, who was our producer.
Okay. Now, he produced your solo CD.
Yeah.
Finally, Karen.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, actually, two of them he produced. And, of course, we're excited about this record because we come together and, when the girls come together, we just have good old fun. Mm-hmm. And it's like, of course, we remember Mom. We can't forget Dr. Mattie Moss Clark, who really established the whole group.
Right.
Definitely. And just our upbringing and the foundation that she, established in us, instilled in us, rather.
Yeah.
And, of course, we taking that now and using it today. And then we were trying to follow up with the words that she left, her last words on her deathbed. She said, I want you all girls to just stick together. Mm-hmm. Just stay together, whatever you do. Those were her last words. So we're just trying to follow up with her words and her prayers.
A strong brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so who were some of the writers on this particular CD?
Of course, I wrote Blessed and Highly Favored, the single. And, of course, Dorinda and Twinkie wrote a lot of songs. And Jackie wrote some songs. And then Donald.
Okay. And so some of them are actual new songs. Probably going to be immediate classics like Blessed and Highly Favored. It's only been out, but it's like it's a classic already.
Favorite, yeah.
But then some of the other songs, you actually do a medley of some of their classic songs.
Absolutely. The oldies but goodies,
Yeah.
And, of course, all of those songs, Twinkie was a phenomenal writer. Everybody says she was really ahead of her time.
Yeah.
She was so advanced, in her writing skills. And that was one thing that I admired about my sister. Mm-hmm. And to think today that even some of the young people, I know you were talking about that I have my daughter, she listens to the music. Even my son, who's an up-and-coming producer, listen at her music and samples it. And just to see that, her writing back then, it's still, filling up today. And then people today are still calling for our old songs.
Of course.
So we do. We have a little Yeah.
Lady just called about Pure Gold. And she said,
love that.
So, let me digress from the CD for a second since we have you here. And we're talking about family. How I know through the years your sisters are just as any family. Y'all get mad at each other and leave and whatever, that kind of stuff. But how important is it for families really to stay together and to know that there's something special about family?
Well, I think that's one thing that my mom put in us is that even though you have a disagreements and you have your own opinions, but you got to know that blood is thicker than water, for one thing. And, of course, even though that's one thing I learned about when we have disagreements, we still love each other, in spite of our different opinions. And of course, we fall out. We have fights. We do. Back in the day, I didn't see how my mama did it, but how she handled these girls. But we did. We let each other have it. But in just remembering it's according to, if the parents are good, and that's one thing that I follow up with my children, what my mom still, of course, that was back in the day. She did it differently. Then I do it differently because the way of thinking, these young people today, and I have my son and daughter. I say, whatever you do, you fight for your blood. Whatever, you stick up. If they're wrong, tell them they're wrong, know. Yeah. And that's one thing that my mom told us. Tell each other what's wrong. You don't want to be walking around, you got toilet paper on your shoes. You don't tell your sister, girl, don't walk out like that. Yeah. And that's the truth sets us free. So that's one one thing to stick together.
Wow. And so, it seems that your mother's influence is strong. And now when we had a chance to talk to Kiki, it sounds like your and, of course, her dad's influence is strong on her. What would you say to parents today that's one of the that you think is really important that they try to really instill into their children?
Well, I think one thing that really helped us is that I'm glad that we brought our children up in the church. That is so important. And then, people might not go to church, like us, but that's one thing that we instill in them, the Word of God. Because I've told her, I said, my husband and I both, we said, we're not going to support you if you're not going to take this thing seriously, because you can't be out there in front of God's people, because there's people out there that's spiritual and can know the true spirit of God. So I told her, I said, get in your word, know the word. They love the word. So I had to just, extend to this advice to a lot of parents. Take your children and make them go to church, and it's a way you do it. You don't fuss at them and say, this, but you're looking out for their future.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I have to say. And then, of course, I have to admit that even my mom did a great job, because actually my father divorced, and my mother and father divorced when I was at the age of 18. And she never told us anything against our father, even though he was a pastor and everything. And I think that a lot of times that when we're Christian parents, we have to let them know, think positive about everything, even though you have negative things going on in your life, but you talk positive to your children, and most of all spiritual. So that's important advice.
All right. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk more with Karen Clark Sheard. Keep your radios right here